This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, I'm recording the session as well. So in the previous classes, just to recap, in the previous classes, we have installed Java and configured Java. We have installed Eclipse and we know how to create a project in Eclipse. Okay. So hope you all done with this setup, installation of Java and Eclipse. And then we started understanding writing some basic programs about Java variables and data types. Okay. And I think we were discussing about Java operators also. So yeah, so we'll continue on the operators. So I think we are discussing about Java operators. Let me increase the font size. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so we discussed about arithmetic operators. So there are few operators already available in Java. Java knows about those things. So we are here to understand what are those operators and how they are working. Okay, like plus for addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, percentage for remainder and all. Okay, then we discussed about comparison operators. So to compare the two variables, we can use these variables operators. So these are called as comparison operators. They are less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, not equals to, double equals to compare like this. So there are different variables. And then I think we discussed about assignment operators also. So assignment operators like you are assigning the value. So single equals to assign the value as well as plus equals to minus equals to multiplication equals to like this. So you can do some operation and assign also. I'm not sure if I covered percentage equals to. So that is also same. Okay. So how it works the same way the percentage also works. Okay. So this is what our previous discussion. So yeah, so if you write z plus equals to x, that means z equal to z plus x. So same way. So z percentage x equals to x. Okay. So this is exactly same as z equals to z percentage x. Okay. So you can observe the value of z after this operation. Okay. So you can run the program. So it is 0. The remainder might be 0. That's why the output is 0. But same like the plus equals to multiplication equals to how it is working. Same way percentage equals to get the remainder. Okay. So these are the previous discussions. So hope you understood and practiced. Okay. Then we'll quickly see some other operators also. Like let me quickly see about unary operators. So unary operators means so you have one operand. So one parameter is enough or one variable is enough. So we'll write one new program for this one. Okay, I'm using the same project. Okay, so I'm writing here unary ops demo. Same like we have a package under that I'm creating a new Java class with the main method. Okay, so let's see how these unary operators works. So they are plus plus and minus minus. These are the operators. How they works is, let me take a variable some x equals to 10. Okay, so if I write x plus plus, okay, so you can observe those things now. So it will increment or decrement the value by 1. Y equals to 20, let's say. Okay, so if you see these operators, so when you print this one, okay, so that is very good. I'll show you why it is not showing. Okay, So I'm doing maybe I won't print just for now. I don't want to confuse you. So I'm just writing plus plus minus minus, then I'm printing the values. So you can see value of x is incremented by 1 and value of y is decremented by 1. Okay, hope this is clear. Now if you go to in detail, there is something little confused initially. So we'll see what is that confusion. That is because of pre-increment, post-increment, such kind of things. But basically these plus plus minus minus are for increment and decrement operations. So we'll see in detail in one more program about a pre and post and all. Okay, hope this is clear. So this is a unary operator. Why unary operator is to perform the operation one variable is enough. So I'm doing operation only one variable, that is x. I'm doing decrement operation only on one variable y. That's why it is a decrement operator. Okay, so this is called as increment operator. This is decrement operator. Now I will write one more program on unary ops demo. Okay, so here you have to understand a little more about this concept. It's very simple, but just I would like to show you. Okay, so here okay, so what I'm doing here is, let me take one more variable z. Initially let's say it's 0. Initially its value is 0. Now I want z equal to x plus plus. Now see the z value. Okay, key not here. Maybe I'll write within the brackets itself so that it is easy for you. Z equal to x plus plus. Okay, so it is still printing 10. If you remember, if you observe, I'm writing plus plus after x. So now what I will do, I am right now this time I'm writing x plus plus x. Now this time it should print 11. So what is this is, so see here increment is first, pre-increment. This is called as pre-increment. Increment is first, then operation. Here what is happening is post increment. So first operation is first, then post that operation increment is happening. So that's why there is a slight difference. Yes, plus plus minus minus is to increment the value by 1, minus minus is to decrement the value by 1, but there is a slight difference. That is pre-increment, post-increment, pre-decrement, post-decrement. That is, if pre means pre-increment. So here increment is first, then operation. Here increment is post the operation. The operation here is assignment. That's why if you observe here, so it is printing 10 here. Okay, because incrementing post the operation. See, the z value is still printing as 10, whereas here in this scenario, so the operation it is yeah. So here if you see, it will print 11. So that is the slight difference. Okay, so same for post decrement and pre decrement also. If I write let's say z equals to uh, y minus minus, you can observe this one. So as I mentioned here, so it is first operation first, then post that operation decrement. So it should see still it will print as 20 only. Ideally the value is 19, but it still prints 20 because so operation is first. So then it is decrementing. The post decrement, post operation it will decrement. Here it is pre-increment. Okay. So increment is first, then operation. That is a slight difference we have to understand about this operator. So this unary operator minus minus. So plus plus is to increment the value by 1, to increment the value by 1, and minus minus is to decrement the value by 1. Okay, but whereas two operations we do, pre and post increment or decrement. Okay, so pre means okay here, let me write post. So x plus plus if you are writing means this is post increment. Okay, first operation, then increment. Okay, so y minus minus if I, sorry, minus minus y. This is pre-decrement. That means decrement first and then operation. So that's it. Don't confuse much. So just this is to increment or decrement the value by one. The only catch is how are you writing, whether it is a post or pre. Accordingly, you have to see the execution. Okay. So hope this is clear. So just go through this program, and we have one more operators also. So that is the fifth one is logical operators. So that is also one more simple thing. So either it is ampersand, double ampersand or double pipe. Okay. So it is a kind of, if you remember, true false logics. Okay. So if the both the operands are true, so it will always give true. Okay. So if any one operand is false, so this will give false. So if any left operand or right operand so is false, or if both are false, this will result to the false. Okay. So you will be using all these things in our regular programs, but just to give you overview. Okay. If any one is false, if both are false, the result is false. If both are true, then only this will result to true. Whereas in OR operator, so if any one is true, the final result is true. So it's a little reverse. Okay. We'll see some programs with this, except the last case. So everything must be true. So these are called as logical operators. Okay. So something like this, for example, I will write one more program quickly. Don't worry, any other thing that you came across, just to follow these classes, then go through the other programs or whatever you want to explore, you do it later. Okay. So logical operators demo. So I am creating again a new Java class with main method with a finish. Simple, you can see some default code. Okay, so I will write some age equal to some 25. Okay, so simply, and maybe I'll take one more int score equals to some. I'm just taking some two numbers. So what I will do, okay, so if age greater than something or equals to 25 and a score also greater than or equal to 70. See, so here, so the left side the operand is true, and here also true. So finally this should result to true. So you can use these operators, okay, between these kind of situations. Okay, so you can choose any one. Let's say if it is OR operator, so let us say score is 80. Okay, if any one is matching, okay, so this will result to true. Clear? So in these kind of situations, you will use these operators called as logical operators. Okay, we have already seen the one more logical operator that is not of. Okay, so age greater than something 20 or 30. Okay, we have to write in the brackets just to avoid confusion. Okay, the final result will be reversed. Okay, so that's why it's giving true. Okay, so this is about logical operators. So these are the regular operators we generally use in our regular programming. They are arithmetic operators to perform mathematical operations, comparison operators to compare the left operand and right operands, and assignment operator to assign the value. Okay, and unary operators like plus plus minus minus. You can increment or decrement values by one. And we have one more little confusion here, that is pre and post increment. Hope it is addressed. So plus plus is post increment. So first operation, then increment. The minus minus y means pre-decrement, decrement first, then assign, or then some operation, whether it is printing or assigning the value, something. Okay, and logical operators are double ampersand, double pipe. They are very simple. You can go through this, you will understand. So this is about operators. Okay, so hope you are clear now with this creating the project and declaring the variables, different data types. We discussed different data types also. So we have 8 primitive data types. Somewhere we discussed 8 primitive data types on the last class. Okay, they are byte, short, int, long for. I think this is not here. Somewhere we discussed in yesterday's class, the last class somewhere. Let me open it. No, somewhere we mentioned that the different variables we discussed, or I think in the program itself we have discussed maybe. Sometimes I'll write some notes here itself. Yeah, so these are the different data types called as primitive data types, and we have non-primitive data types also. So that's why don't jump into any of the pages or any websites, so you will confuse. So non-primitive data types means arrays, classes, and interfaces. So you will understand all of them slowly, but don't first for now keep everything simple. So these are the primitive data types. Non-primitive data types you will understand slowly, and variables also. When I am writing everything, I am writing inside method. So don't confuse again. So class variables, interface, reference variables, and all that is different topic. You will understand slowly. For now, while as we are beginners, just to create a class, declare variables inside method, and understand these concepts. Okay. So this is the basic thing that we do generally. So they are declaring a variables. While declaring, you give some data types, and based on the range of the values that you are using, you can choose these data types so that you can save the memory. Byte is 1 byte, short 2 bytes, int 4, long 8 bytes, like this. Okay, and then different operators we discussed. Then one important topic that we need to start today is control statements. Okay, so yeah, one more operator is there that is called as ternary operator. Sorry, let me quickly go through this one. Ternary operator. Okay, so it is something like a combination of question mark and colon. So it requires three operators. Like I told you somewhere, unary operators, right? Unary operator means you can perform the operation on one operator. And for example, this arithmetic operator plus is there. So you need two operators. Let's say a plus b. I need a, I need b. So if it is taking two operators, it's called as binary operator. If it is taking three operators, it's called as a ternary operator. Okay, so how ternary operator works is, let me quickly write the program for this also. Okay, so ternary op demo, as I mentioned, when you're writing program, create a Java class with main method, give some name, and you get the default code. Start writing from here. Okay, so let's say I'm taking int a equal to 10, b equals to 20, and I want to find a maximum number which I am assuming initially as 0. Now, what I can do here is max equal to, I will write something like this: a greater than b. How this works you have to understand. Question mark a, otherwise b. So what is this meaning is, I am printing this one max. So what is this meaning is, first it will check the condition. This the code inside brackets will execute. See, as I mentioned, this is two operators, question mark and colon. Okay, so it's a combination of question mark and colon. So what happens is, before the question mark you have to write the condition. This condition is evaluated. If condition result is true, the value of a is stored inside max. If condition result is false, the value of b is stored in max. So that is what happening here. If you run the program, you can see it is giving 20 because A greater than B is false. If false, the value of max becomes B. If true, let's say I'm giving 40. So then the value must be, the max will be 40. So that is one more operator. So here if you see three things I am doing. Max is one variable, A is a second variable, B is third variable. So that is why it called as ternary operator. Ternary operator means it takes three operators. Maybe what I will do, I'll write like this. It takes three operators. Okay. So just another note. Unary operators means nobody will ask you in interview what is unary operator, and these are all very basic. Okay, just as we are discussing to keep everything clarified, I am asking this one. Unary operator means, so the plus plus needs one operator. So for example, plus plus minus minus. If you observe these plus plus minus minus, so we are doing only on one operator, right? So that's why these are called as unary operator. I can write, I think I have written somewhere. So plus plus minus minus. Okay. So one more thing is a binary operator. So binary operator. Okay. So needs two operands. Okay. Here one operand, two operands. Okay, let's say all your arithmetic operators, because the whatever the operation you are doing, so you need two operators. That's why these are called as binary operator. And the another one is ternary operator, the recent program that we discussed. Okay, because it needs three operators. So just as a note for you, if you want, if you remember what is ternary operator, you can remember this unary binary also. Unary needs one operand, binary needs two operands, whereas ternary needs three operands. So this is a program you can refer. It needs a condition. If condition is true, value after question mark assigns to that variable. If the condition is false, the value after colon will assign to the max. So that's a simple one. Okay. So yeah, this is about operators. Now, as I mentioned, we'll quickly go to that control statements. Okay, this is very important, control statements in Java. Okay, so one more important thing, like we can classify these control statements into different groups, because when you are doing these operations, so you are controlling the flow of execution. So if you remember all the basic programs whatever I am writing with the main method, and my execution starting from main method and ending at the end of the main method, you can write the code after or before main method also. As I mentioned, for now you hold it. Okay, and the execution is line by line so far. So if I'm writing 100 lines or 10 lines or 20 lines, it's executing line by line. But sometimes what I want is, I need to control the flow of execution. That is, I want to execute only few lines from the code, or I want to skip some lines from execution, or I want to execute some lines of code continuously for 100 times. So then Java provides from some predefined keywords. So they are called as control statements. Okay. So first one is conditional statements. Okay. Okay. Based on the condition, you will execute them, or you can call it as selection statements also, and the loop statements, and then jump statements. Okay, so we'll quickly see one by one. So selection statements. So as I mentioned, control statement, this will control the flow of execution. So I'll quickly write some programs about selection statements. So they are basically the keywords which are already defined in Java, or if else. Okay, and nested if else. Okay, if else ladder, the switch case. So these are already defined in Java. We are trying to understand by writing some programs. Okay. So if we start with this if statement, so as I mentioned, sometimes based on the situation, I need to control the flow. I don't want to execute all the lines in the my main method. I want to control that. As I mentioned, we are just discussing within main method. So in future, we can write that code anywhere. Okay, so I'm writing new project. Okay, so things will be little uh, going forward. Things will be few complex topics will be added slowly. Okay, so let us say third project I'm writing. I'm creating the project and finish it simply. Nothing new, as we already know how to create a project. And then src is a folder. If you see this module info.java, you can delete it. Okay, so and I create a package here, that is selection. I'm just writing a selection. Package name is selection for our understanding. I'm writing a new Java class. Okay, so if demo. So let's keep it very simple. So what I am writing here is, for example, I'll take some two numbers, x equal to 12 and y equals to 10. Okay, so simply I will write something, some line in the program, or I will write a line 1, line 2, something. Okay, so assume there are some code existing on the on your screen. Okay, what is happening, if you don't control it, it will execute everything. So when you run the program, it will execute everything, line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4. But I don't want all the lines to be executed. Okay, I want only line 1. Okay, or I want this executed only when my condition is met. For example, if x greater than y, then only I want this to be executed. Then what I can do, I can simply write this code inside this one. Okay, so then you can see, just for our understanding, I will write one more line. So last line. See, so if you run the program, now you can see every line is executed. I will change the value of x to 6. Now what happens? So only one line is executed, that is last line. So here, because of the if keyword, so instead of executing everything, you are controlling the code execution. That is, so only few lines are executed. Okay, so if condition is true, the code inside if is executing. Condition is false, so it is not executing. So basically the syntax of if is, if needs a condition. Okay, so it's something like this. So if a syntax is, it needs a condition. I'm hearing most of pings. Yeah, bitwise operator is there, Mega, but we don't use it much. We can discuss later if you want. You can keep aside. And Asif, can you explain difference between assignment operator and unary operator? Assignment operator is just a single operator. It will assign the value. Like if you go back here, so these are assignment operators. So e single equals to plus equal to, it will assign the value. Okay, but a ternary operator, if you see, it's doing some more operation. It's comparing and doing whether it is deciding whether you are assigning A or B. If you go back to this program, as if I'm answering your question. So if you go back to this operator, ternary operator, so it is assigning, but it's doing some more additional thing, right? So see, it is single equals to, this is assignment operator. It is assigning value 40 to A. And what is value of max here? It is doing some comparison. Based on the result of the comparison, it is assigning either A or B. It's doing more than single equals, right? That's why it is another operator, ternary operator. Here you have three variables, max, A, B, and all. Here it is only one operand. Here three operands. Here it is one operand. So is it answering you, Asif? No, no, Asif, I cannot hear you. You can type if you want. Hello, Asif, can you hear me? Yeah, it adds also adds value, but it's just a unary operator. Operator is only one single operator. But here it is more than one operator and it's doing multiple things, comparison and assigning. Yeah, no problem, Asif. Still, if you have doubts, we can discuss. And Mega, as I mentioned, bitwise operators, so we don't use much. We need some mathematical calculation again to compare the results. So, but it's okay. It's not that critical. We can discuss later. Okay. So yeah, I'll come back here. So we are discussing about control statements. They are already available in Java to compare, I mean, to control the flow of execution. So the first and the foremost thing that we are discussing is if keyword. So if you see the color code also, so it is in a maroon color and it's case sensitive language. Java is case sensitive language, right? So you have to write it in lowercase only, otherwise you will get error. Okay, and it needs a condition. So based on the condition, this will decide whether you need to execute the code or not. So if it is a single line, you can write directly. So that is if you want one line, one statement to be executed, so you can write directly like this. Okay, so your statement you can write. If it is more than one line, you have to write within brackets. So if your execution is more than one lines of code, okay, so you can keep under brackets. Okay, so here it's the end of the bracket. So it depends. So if it is single line, you no need to keep in brackets. If it is more than one line, compulsory you have to enclose within the brackets. Okay, but remember, so if needs a condition, that's how Java is designed. So we are understanding Java. So if needs a condition within the brackets, you have to give. If the result is true, the code inside if will execute, otherwise it will skip from execution. So now we are controlling the execution, right? We are not executing everything here. So we are executing only few lines. Okay, that's why. So you are selecting only few lines for execution. That's why it's called a selection statements. Okay, I'll quickly take one more program, that is if else demo. Okay, if else demo, again same. Okay, so what it will do is, let me write let's say age. I'm taking one simple variable age. Now what it will do, so for example, I will write one last line for our understanding, so this will execute forever. But I want so if something to be executed only if condition is true, if age is greater than or equals to 25. See here how we are using these conditional operators and everything. Okay, so I'm printing eligible for some job application or some competition, else not eligible. If you want to handle these kind of situations, okay, so you can take the help of this one. So now if you see the code inside, again as I mentioned, if your code is single line, you need to have this one. Okay, so yeah, so now if you see, so line number 9 executes if the condition is true. And see how many lines executed now. If I run the program, there are 3 statements. How many statements will be executed now? If I run the program, how many statements will be executed? Line 9 and line 14, right? But not everything. See now, line number 11 is not executed. For example, if I write something like this, now you can see line 11 is executed. Sorry, I'll write some, should write some lesser value. So if I run this program now, so line number 11 is executed, line number 14 is executed. Now line number 9 skipped from execution. Now line number 9 is skipped in the current execution, and previous execution line number 11 is skipped. So that's how these keywords help. So if you want to select some statements, it is good to use these selection statements. That's why I am naming it as selection. Of course, it's already there, it's already named. So why we are calling a selection statement is, so it's giving opportunity to select a few lines of code from the program, not everything. Hope it is clear. So I'm just making it simple. So selection statement. So you can basically, it's a if statement. Okay. So if you want to select some code from execution, or if you want to skip for some code from execution, you can use the help of these if or if else. Okay, hope it is clear. Any questions? Anyone wants to ask anything on this if else's? I'll take a pause here. If anyone have any questions, feel free to ask in this one. We have different varieties also. We are going to see everything, but if any questions, please feel free to drop. Silence means, can I assume? Yeah, Asif, you have a question? Okay, you are giving the answer. Okay, okay, Asif. Yeah. Okay, I'll continue. So we are going to write lot many programs. Just firstly, I want to introduce these keywords, and I will write one more thing. Little challenging program I will write. Mm, okay. So if we have seen directly, if else we have seen, and for example, I will write one more program, nested if else. See what is nested if else? So as it says, nested if else means if else inside another if else. Okay, nested if else means if else inside another if else. It can be inside if or inside else also. Okay, so let me write if else syntax for you here. Okay, so if condition, okay, if condition is true, statement 1 executes, else statement 2 executes. Okay, if you want more than one statement, so as I mentioned, you have to keep under brackets like this. Okay, so if it's more than one statement, you have to write under brackets statement 3, statement 4. Okay, yeah, so this is about if else. So we are quickly seeing nested if else. So nested if else means if else inside if else. So for example, this is our first if else. Let's say some code is there. Okay. Now what I am telling is, so you inside this one you will have one more if else. Let's say this is condition 2. Okay. So you may have only one if or multiple, that is up to your requirement, but we can have this inside if else. Okay, so if you observe, so this is outer if else and this is inner if else, so it depends on our requirement. Okay, so hope this is clear. So we can write the program as per this also. Okay, so I will write one program. I'll write it. If anything is required, please let me know. So let us say I want to write a program to find the leap year. Okay, so generally what is the rule for to know what is leap year and all? What is the code to check it is leap year or normal year? How to check whether a given year is leap year or normal year? For example, I will give int year equals to 2025. How to check this whether it is leap year or year? Mathematically, forget about program. Mathematically, what is the rule? Okay. Yeah, Nitesh, please proceed. Feel free to interact here. That's fine. How to check whether a given year is leap year or normal year? Anyone wants to try? Please speak out. Anyone? Or you can type it. It's okay. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Hello? Yeah, okay. Okay, Nitesh, thanks for confirming. Okay, okay, fine, don't worry. So first of all, if you are given a number, if it is divisible by 4, it's a leap year, otherwise normal year. That's what our understanding. Okay, but it is wrong. If how to get the remainder, if you are divided by 4 or not, how to check that? So we have discussed about arithmetical operator. So if it is remainder is 0, then leap year. Okay, else non-leap year. Okay, okay, this is what our understanding. So yeah, it is giving non-leap year because 2025 is not a leap year. 2024 I am checking, so this is leap year. 2028, if you see, this is also leap year. 2027, this is not a leap year. Okay, so this is how we can write, but tell me, this is leap year or not? 2100 I am giving, it is giving leap year, but is it leap year? Is it leap year? 21 is leap year, 2100 is leap year? No, no, because leap year, if there are two types of data we have to classify. So whether that year is a century year, normal year. For example, 2000, 2100, 2200, 2300, 2400, these are century years. Normal years are, let's say, 2021, 2022, 2023, like this, 2024, 2025. So if the year number is ending with two zeros, that is called as century year. Okay, and this is normal year or non-century year. Okay, so whatever rule we discussed, divisible by 4 works only for non-century years. So whatever rule we discussed, divisible by 4 or not, so it works here. So if it is divisible by 4, a leap year, otherwise not a leap year, this is fine. But the same case won't work for non-century century years. It works for non-century years, but not for century, because it should be divisible by 400 also. Okay, so the extra condition for this is, if you are checking with 4, it is not sufficient, it should be divisible by 400. Okay, so that's why our code handling partially, our code is handling partial data, not for everything. Okay, so yeah, the divisible by 4 is correct, but partially in case of non-century year, but our code is not correct if it is century year. So first what we need to check is, so I need to check whether it is century year or non-century year. So this code, see, this code only works for non-century year. Okay, this code only works for non-century year, but fails in case of century year. Okay, I will write one more program, that is I'm writing it as leap year demo. Okay, so I'll take some number, it is 2025 or let's say 2100. Because so now first, that is century year or normal year, we have to decide. So here percentage 100 equals to 0. So this is century year, right? So the year, given year is century year. Okay, else non-century year. Okay, so as I mentioned, so if it is a non-century year, this code is fine. Whatever code we have written initially, that is fine. Okay, so this code, whatever we have written in the previous program, now I am pasting under else block, because that is where your non-century year comes. So whatever I am checking whether it is by 4 or not, I can check here. But in case of century year, so you have to check whether it is divisible by 400 also. So that is, if it is divisible by 400, then I can write leap year, else I can write non-leap year. That's it. So basically two things. Maybe I'll copy paste this one, nested if else one. Okay. So this one I am copy pasting, where this code works only for non-century years. For non-century years, what we have to do? If it is 400, then only leap year. See, there are two programs first of all. So this first program, I will rename it leap year one. I'm sorry, leap year one. Okay. So this program works for non-century years. And the second program, leap year 2. Let me rename this one. This program works for only for century years. See, if you run this one, so 2100 is not a leap year. 2400 is a leap year. 2200 also must be leap year. Sorry, non-leap year because it's not divisible by 400. 2300 also non-leap year because it's not divisible by 400. 2800 must be leap year because it's divisible by 400. So this code leap year 2 program works only for century years. Leap year 1 program works for century years. But generally we need to write a code. It handles all the data. So before I am adding this inner if else's, okay, outer if else I am writing to check whether it is century year or not. Outer if else to check given year is century year or not. So based on that I am checking if it is century year. Okay, then what is we have to do? We have to check 400 divisible by or not. If it is not century year, then we have to check 4 or not. This is enough. Okay, so now it should handle any type of data. Let us say whether it is 2024. Let's say this is a century leap year, so it is working fine. What? Why it is working? Yeah, so this is unnecessarily I'm writing here. Yeah, non-century leap year. Okay, fine, that's correct only. I thought it's not leap year. No, it's a non-century year. 2025 is a non-century. Okay, better what I will do, I will append this one here. Hope I'm not confusing. Let me know if you want. I will explain again. Okay, so now if I run this one, it says, let me give some spaces also. Okay, so if you see 2024 is not a century year and it is a leap year. I will take one scenario whereas 2100. Okay, 2100 must be as per our mathematical calculation. It must be century year. It must be not a leap year. So our code is working or not. So 2100, it must be century year. It must be not a leap year. So like this, we have to write our code. So simple if else's helping us to decide whether the given number is leap year or not. Okay. So yeah, so this is how we can check. Hope this program is clear. If anyone have any questions, I'm not able to. Okay, Dikshit Reddy, can you see the screen now? Dikshit, can you see? Okay. So yeah, so coming back to the if else thing, so you can write a simple if statement alone. Okay, if you want one line directly, you can write. If you want more than one line, write under brackets. If you can write with else block also. If condition is true, statement one executes. If condition is false, else block executes. Okay, and if you want multiple lines, you keep under brackets. And nested if else means you can write if else's inside if else's. So in this program, you are writing if else's in outer if else's. So this is inner if else, this is outer if else. It is inside outer else. Okay, this is how you can write the if else's. Okay, we'll give some sample programs to practice also. So while you are practicing, you can do those assignments that will help you to understand clearly. Okay, that is about if else's. So I told you one more thing. Okay, let me write one more thing. nested if else, and I told if else ladder, right? Okay, if else ladder, how it appears? It's like if else ladder. The one more variety of writing if else is like this. If else ladder. So it's like if condition one something you execute, else if it checks for condition two. Okay, so then the next statement executes, then it checks for condition 3. Okay, so then the third condition, and if no condition is matched, the final else block executes. So it's something like a ladder. So it checks this condition. If true, this will execute. If not true, it checks the second condition. Then if it is true, it will execute. If not second condition also true, it checks the third condition. If the third condition is true, this one executes. So if no condition is true, the final else block executes. That's how you can design. And as I mentioned, if you want to run multiple lines, you can keep under brackets. Okay, so we'll write some simple program with for this. Okay, let us say I'll take a simple score. Let's say student marks. If you take so int average of all subjects, let's say if I'm giving some 90, so I want to decide the grade on based on this average score. So what I can do, if average is uh, greater than or equal to 80, okay, let's say student passed in grade 1. Okay, else if average is greater than or equal to 70, and I am trying to combine the other operator that we discussed, double ampersand also less than 80, then I can say grade 2. Else if average is greater than or equals to some 60 and average is less than 70, then grade 3. Else let's say no grade secured, something just for our program sake I'm writing. So if you see here, so average is 90, so this first condition should match, and maybe for your understanding I will write one extra line, that is last line I am writing, or after if else it will execute. So if you run this program, you can see my score is greater than 90. So greater than 80, the given score is 90, it's greater than 80. So the first condition itself was, so grade 1 is printed. For example, if I give average score as 60, so what happens here in this case, this will become false. Okay, and this will also becomes false because this average greater than 70 is false and false. So both are true, false and true. So this is false. Just now we discussed how double ampersand or AND operator works. If any one condition is false, the final result is false. So this is skipped. Okay, so here this is skipped from execution. So this is also skipped from execution. And whereas this one, so greater than or equal to 60, true. Okay, true and true. The final result is true. So what happens if the result is true? The code inside the matched condition executes. Okay, so it must be 3. Now if I run the program, you should see grade 3 is printed. Then the condition code is completed. Then it continues further in the program. So in further, I have few more lines. So last line, line number 17 or line number 18, whatever code is there after if else, that will execute. But if you see, every line is not executed. Only line number 13 is executed. Then 17, 18, 19 is executed. Okay, so that's how you can choose some lines for execution, or you can skip some lines from execution because of these if else statements. Okay, so if else needs a condition, based on the condition result, code inside if block or if else block executes. Okay, so I'll just within a minute I'll write one more program. For example, I want to find the max number. Okay, so just on interest of time, I'm writing couple of programs. So I have given two numbers. So let's say int x equal to some 12, y equal to some 14. So I want to decide whether what is max number, or I will take one more variable max equal to 0. So now what I can do, if x greater than y, I can write max equal to x. Okay, else max equal to y. Okay, so then if you see uh, max number is okay. So if you run the program, so see the 14 is maximum, or if I give some 16, okay, 16 is maximum. But if you see, every line is not executed. Either you are skipping some lines or choosing only few lines for execution. That's why we can take the help of these if else's. Okay, so this is how we can use these if else's in our program. And yeah, so we can observe this program execution in the debug mode also. There is a perspective called a debug, which is very important for any Java developer or automation tester using Java. So that is debug mode. So how to use debug mode is there is a option under Windows. There is a option window appearance, sorry, preferences. Let me come back here. Show view, sorry, perspective, open perspective Java. This is our normal view. Now if I want to switch to debug view, okay, perspective, open perspective, debug. Okay, maybe I'll tell you this topic in the next class, because this is very important. I don't want to conclude in last minute. So you have to change the perspective from Java to debug mode. Then what you can do, you can apply the breakpoint. Okay, so I'll take some good example. Okay, I am applying breakpoint at line number 9. You double click on line, you can see the dot there, that is called a breakpoint. And now when you run the program in debug mode, so far if you observe, I'm running the program by clicking this play icon now. But when you want to run the program in the debug mode, you have to click this bug icon. So when you run this bug icon, when you click it, the program will continue, and wait for your permission here wherever breakpoint is applied. Now that means your program is completed execution only at line number 8. At line number 9, it is waiting for your permission. Now you can observe, see, purpose of this one is you can observe the flow of execution. Okay, see now, so this is where you are. And see, if I run this one, see, the condition is true. So the condition is true and it is into the next line. It is showing this is what in the next line in your execution. See, I'm clicking these buttons here. See this step over, step into. We'll discuss all these in detail later. Okay, you can use desktop shortcut F6 also. See, when I'm keep clicking this F6, it is showing the next line in execution. Okay, so this is how you can see it came to line number 23. That is end of the program. So the programs now you observed the line by line execution by with the help of this debugging. So which is very important topic. So that we will discuss in the next class. Okay, so with this you can observe the flow of execution. As see, no one can write the program in one attempt. So with your understanding or with your analytical skills, you will write the program, and then you will check the whether the code is working as per your expected or not with the help of debugging, which is very important topic. Even 10-20 years experience person also don't write the program in one line. So based on your understanding, you write the program. For correctness, you debug this program, and modifications you do as per is its execution. Okay, so that's how we do generally. As I mentioned, this is very important topic. Maybe we'll begin this next class with this debugging concept, and the remaining topics also. So as I know, these are very basic things, but we have to cover. So the next class we'll see some programs about if else's and switch cases. Then the loop statements like for loop, while loop, do while we'll discuss, and jump statements. If you want to jump from one line to another line based on the condition, there are some statements like a break and the continue, such kind of things are available. So we will see programs using those keywords one by one. Okay, so on interest of time, I'll stop our session here, and we'll take up the questions if any.